It's a tough act to follow, geez. And I love working with Ron Phillips because he and I are both rascals, you know. Right, you go. I knew that I loved him the first day I met him. The first day I met him, I said, this guy's just like me. And I just want to thank you for all your preparation. Everything about you is just great. I wanted to announce something to you. You notice how the new people are over there? Hello, new people over there. And some of the other. Look at that. And Irene and her mom is here, and we're thankful. We miss you, and we love you, and we're glad to see you. I had a terrible tragedy that happened this week. And it was something that just fell onto us. I have a roommate named Russell, who also has a dog named Billy. And Billy was having some trouble, and the vet kept him overnight. And in the morning, we thought that Billy would be coming home. He was 17, you know. Billy died, and we're dealing with that. It's probably the hardest thing to deal with, at least for me, because he was Milo's friend. He was part of our family, and now he's not. And so I'd ask you just to be keeping Russell in your prayers and your thoughts, because you never met a more beautiful person than Russell. And his love for Billy is one I can only hope I can give to Milo. It's just extraordinary. And so that's what leads me here today. The other thing that leads me here today is thirsty. Have you ever been thirsty? I mean, really thirsty. Some of you may remember there's a cowboy song by a group called the Sons of Pioneers. It went like this. All day I faced the barren waste without the taste of water, cool water. Poor Dan and I, with throats burned dry. And so I cry for water, cool, clear water. Now, that's okay, that's thirst. Let's see how old some of you really are. The Sons of the Pioneers sang in pictures, and they were famous cowboy stars. One with an equally famous wife. Can somebody tell me who that was? You know it. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. Remember that? Back in the saddle again, right? I mean, wow. Some of you who are younger might be shaking your heads. Who? But I must say that sometimes things grab me, and I stay with it because I was very concerned about this article that I read about water as we know it is drying up, to coin a phrase. Like Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the oldie from school days. After he slew the albatross, the mariner was struck aboard a ship, lost in a cruel ocean, with no hint of a breeze, a painted ship on a painted ocean. Little food, no drink. And then the plaintive plea, water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Have we ever been thirsty like that? Somebody asked me, what are you preaching on this week? Whoever. Yeah, whoever. I mean, there's an incredibly true story about a young man named Joey Mora. In 1996, Joey was standing on the aircraft carrier, one of the patrol people in the Iranian Sea. He fell overboard, but they didn't notice until 36 hours later. So they contacted his family and said that he was missing and presumed dead. Well, after 72 hours, he had fallen into the water. 4 Pakistani fishermen found him. and he had made a flotation device from his trousers. And he was delirious. His tongue was dry and cracked. His throat was parched. And about 2 years later, he spoke to Stone Phillips of NBC's Dateline. And he told of his incredible story of survival. He kept struggling to survive. The most excruciating thing of all, the one that took over his body and pounded his brain, water, water, water. In the middle of the sea, dying of thirst. Ironic. I mean, we're in trouble, and we need to tend to the things that we overlook and take for granted. Water coming out of our spouts, and water at water fountains, water in bottle form, water, which this article says, is not going to be there someday. Maybe we've never been thirsty like that. Lucky us. And maybe you have times when you knew that it was important to hydrate your body. I mean, athletes have this problem. Every year, I think, some athlete on some high school field ends up dying of dehydration because they don't pick up the signs. It must be replenished in order to function. That it doesn't occur to you that your need is water. People have survived without food for weeks. But without water, even one day, you're going to be desperate. We all need that cool water. Well, the need for water has been through the beginning of time. Way back in time, it was an absolute luxury to have pure water, to find its way into the sacred word. Deer need 2 quarts of water a day before they become parched and dehydrated. Though I thirst for the living water, where can I go? Someone noted in the warm weather, deer, fully grown deer, they don't sweat, they pant. And it's compared to their own plight in a desolate world as that of a deer. As the deer longs for streams of water, so I long for you. I thirst for water, the living water, because that's what it is. I remember how I would marvel at what I would do at baptisms. You know, we had a baptism font, and you'd take it off. Really ceremonious. It was tremendous. And in there was a baptism font where there was water put there ahead of time. And I would grab the water and let it flow. And I would talk about flowing water as opposed to stagnant water. And then the blessing of the baptism. And you know what I'm talking about, Desi. I mean, it's a common thing. Well, I think you know what it is to thirst. Maybe not to that extreme, maybe to that extreme. And when we speak of water, we are led to something, at least I'm led to that experience of the Samaritan woman. And she met this Jewish man while she was at the well. And the Jewish man was Jesus, and he approached her and says, "Will you give me a drink of water?" And right away she said, "You're a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan. How can you ask me for a drink?" That was her first reaction. And he had stepped over the line. The cultures of what was normative, because she was despised as a Samaritan. Plus, she was a woman. None of this really mattered. And he talks about the living water, that eventually she had no idea what he was talking about. None at all. And you know, she scratches her head and said, "But you don't have a bucket. How are you going to get water without the bucket?" She turned to practicality. where are you going to get this living water? She had no idea what he was talking about. Are you greater than Jacob, who gave us this well and drank for it, and his sons and his herds and his flocks? Are you greater than all the? Well, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But then he talks about the living water. The water is spring water welling up to eternal life. Wow. Spring water. And now the text, whoever is thirsty, let them come. Whoever is thirsty, let them come. And let them experience the free gift of the water of life. That's where Unitarians come in. That everybody is eligible to come forward. Everybody is entitled. First thing Unitarian Universalists need to see is that whoever drinks that water will never thirst. What is that water? That means whatever their needs are comes before your needs. We run it twice in this verse. Whoever is thirsty, whoever wishes, let them take the free gift of the water of life. Whoever is you and me. Whoever is the bum on the street. Whoever is the AIDS victim in Africa or in the United States or everywhere. Whoever is the young woman covered head to toe in a burqa in Afghanistan. Whoever means anyone who seeks a better way regardless of what their life was before. Now, I wish we can convince people of that. You don't have to reach a level of excellence in spirituality before you are acceptable to be valued. You are valued. And therefore, you're able then to stand up with people, to share with them in their suffering, to rejoice with them in their victories, and to see them equal or superior to your own self. This is what Unitarian Universalism shines at the most. Whoever, well, people say, oh, whoever, that doesn't mean me. I know myself too well for that. I know what I've done. Well, if you knew the real you, if you knew that there was acceptability, even you are acceptable and are in that whoever category. That's what whosoever believes. That you won't perish, but that you will receive the living water. Do you believe, and I believe, regardless of whether you believe that, I believe in you. I believe that you're capable of that, and that the history shows that if it wasn't for Unitarian Universalists, where would the help have come in times of great need? This is what makes this so acceptable, that everybody counts and every conviction of faith is valued and honored. We don't do that in some other traditions, but we do it here. And whoever believes, do you believe that? Regardless of who you are or what you've done. I was just with, you made me think, Karen, about I showed Karen my grandson's picture on the wall, and got me to thinking about my son. When my own son was 3 years old, I had the duty, the great fun of babysitting him. I forget where my wife was. I do know where I was. I'm going to the mall. We're going to spend a couple hours together, and we're going to kill this time. Well, I'm in the mall, and he's there, and I saw some clothing that I liked, and I wanted to try some of it on. Well, there I was, and Jeremy watching me quietly in the cart. I had to take my shoes off. I wanted to put these pants on. They were kind of large, and well, regardless of how I was dressed, I knew that I was going to maybe get an ensemble of sorts. The moment he saw me take the pants off, he made a run for it. and I saw him going down the promenade. Wait a minute. Now, mind you, I had the pants at my ankles, right? So I ran down, I got him up, and I'm holding my, I had no belt, so I'm running up that thing, and where does he go? Where does he go? Right into a Victoria's Secrets. Giggling, and I'm giggling. Like, what are you doing here, right? So I got him, right? And just as I got him, right, he pushes away, and all I have is a whole bunch of brassieres in my hand, right? He knew. See, while he was laughing, and I was getting more frustrated through the different. He knew, weave and bob and zig and zag. Well, guess what? He zigged and I zigged. Gotcha. Well, he was giggling so hard, and so was I. And, there was the security in the mall. There was the people who are salespeople, and they were watching us and all of this stuff. And I was holding him because I knew he was safe. He had a lot of fun, and all we could do was laugh. And as we're walking back to the store with the clothing that I ran out with, I felt that just as I was chasing him, he was chasing me, and teaching me of what was value. That's true of you people. We're part of the grand whoever. And what I'd like to share with you is about a man that you probably will have heard me speak about. You'll never be able to meet him because he died. A man named Nathan Cohen. There was nobody more giving in my life who saved me in every way that could be saved than Nathan Cohen. Best man at my wedding. A man who taught me that you don't have to be like the kind of men that I came in contact with. Macho, very, very authoritarian, very oppressive. Where the women went and did the work, all of my aunts, they worked very hard. And the men, for some reason, found excuses not to. You don't have to live that kind of life. You can actually be a different kind of adult male, as he was. I don't know of anybody that was more giving. And I asked him when I was his paper boy, and his son became my best friend. Still is, after almost 60 years. And I said, well, how come you are taking such an interest in me because you're Jewish? And he says, it's because I'm Jewish that I'm taking interest in you. And I said, then I want to become a rabbi. And he said, no, you need to be a Christian minister. You need to be a minister in the area where people have a certain understanding of superiority. Really? And as I became a minister and moved up into the ranks of ordination, I would simply say it was a Jewish man who led me into Christian ministry. It's probably the most profound thing that I could ever say, and the highest honor I could ever give to a man such as that. You see, that's where grace is found. That's where people find their value, is that whoever offers us the living water quenches our thirst and helps us to be all we were ever meant to be. And I've known lots of people like that in my life. I don't know about you and what your experiences are, but here's the first thing to be said. It's available. Such kind of grace is available. And if we can only to see it in our brothers and sisters, whoever they may be, and then see it more than we see it in ourselves. Don't forget that everyone is a part of the grand whoever. Everybody counts. We don't see people who are starving in other lands as our brothers and sisters, and we should. Because if we saw them as our brothers and sisters, we would try to do something about it so that our brothers and sisters wouldn't perish. And and you all know that I've talked ad infinitum about my experiences in South Africa. Well, Nelson Mandela in 1994 took over as the president, and he knew more than anybody that the country was poised for a bloodshed. The whites were desperately afraid of the new black leadership, thinking that they would have no rights and that there would be anarchy in the country. Well, when he emerged from prison after 27 years of incarceration to become the president of his country, he shocked the world by asking his jailer to join him in that inauguration platform. Can you imagine what it was a shock to the jailer? Mandela then appointed my good friend, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, to head the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Now, this amazing commission was designed to diffuse the pattern of revenge so often emerges when one oppressed race or tribe takes control from another. For 2.5 years, South Africans listened to reports of atrocities coming out of the commission. The rules were simple, as they were mind-boggling. It never happened before, and it never happened since. If a white policeman or army officer voluntarily faced his accusers, confessed his crime, and fully acknowledged his guilt, he would not be tried or punished for that crime. Can you imagine anybody here in America doing that? In the allegedly mostly Christian Judeo world that we live. Imagine that kind of justice. Well, confess your sin in front of those you have wronged and be set free. Well, there is obviously a lot of people, black people in South Africa, who felt that was not fair, that was not just. But Nelson Mandela knew something that a lot of people didn't. He said the country needed healing more than it needed justice. And at one hearing, the policeman named Van den Broek confessed to a horrendous crime. Now, he and some of his officers shot an 18-year-old boy and burned the boy's body to destroy the evidence. And incredibly, years later, he returned to the same house and retrieved the boy's father and did the same thing. And his wife was forced to watch as the policeman bound her husband on the woodpile, poured gasoline over his body, and ignited it, killing him. Well, the courtroom grew hushed, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu couldn't go on. He was so emotional that he began to heave, and they had to give him medical attention from just hearing this. And the question came up, what do you want from this man, Mr. Van den Broek? And she said she wanted Mr. Van den Broek to go to the place that they burned her husband's body, gather up the dust so she could give him a decent burial, and his head was bent down, and he nodded in agreement. He would do that. And then she added this further request. She said, Mr. Van den Broek took all of my family from me, but I still have a lot of love to give. Twice a month, I would like for him to come to the ghetto and spend a day with me so I can be a mother to him. I would like Mr. Van den Broek to know that he's forgiven. I would like to embrace him so that he knows that my forgiveness is real. And to think that elderly African woman had more faith in her little finger than most of us have in our whole body. Well, I think that that's grace. That's the kind of grace we are to show the world. We haven't yet discovered it. We're not there yet. Whoever is thirsty, whoever, let them come. Whoever wishes, let them be free to partake and drink of the cup of the water of life. That's you, and that's me. That's everybody, whoever. Amen.